Hey, Dan, welcome to Asking for a Friend.
Thanks, Rick. Glad to be here.
I'm excited to have you. This is our cool new YouTube series called Asking for a Friend, and it's where we kind of answer or try our best to answer questions, typically anonymous questions from the design community about things that maybe they don't want to say out loud. And so sometimes they choose to ask for a friend in an effort to get an answer that will help guide them. And so I appreciate you coming on. For those of you that are watching, Dan Costigan is our financial expert. He's going to be a featured speaker at Design Biz Retreat this year. So today you're going to get a little example of what you can hear in October during his full presentation. Dan, I'm going to dive right in. You ready?
Ready or not, let's do it.
So here's the question from an anonymous designer. It says, I want to make personal retirement saving a part of my business financial model, which I love. What is
Yeah.
the best approach? So when I received this question, I realized I am the worst possible person to ask this question to because I think I did everything wrong. I think I definitely fall into the category of designers who were so focused on their business and other things that I failed to pay any attention to my financial future and my retirement. And so I really don't have any good advice for this question. So I called in the big gun. And Dan, thank you so much for joining us and agreeing to share your insight. Before you
Absolutely.
answer this question or give us some advice, can you share with
Mhm.
us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. I am the founder and wealth advisor for Two Palms Financial. It's a virtual RIA, registered investment advisor based in San Clemente, California. I launched the firm in early 2025. I used to work for bigger firms and wanted to design my practice a little bit differently, work with fewer clients, focus specifically with business owners, and help them with planning and investing. I offer a flexible fee schedule. A lot of traditional wealth advisors have like an assets under management model, and I have
Mm,
that, but I also have a fixed fee for a lot of business owners that don't have much wealth outside of their business, but they have cash flow planning complexity, they have tax planning needs, insurance, trust and estate, and goals they want to save for. So that's my firm in a nutshell. And it's been a fun ride early on and excited to continue building.
great. I really appreciate that you focus on small businesses and that you really kind of break it
Mhm.
down into, digestible pieces that we can, invest in and learn from. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
So, what do you think about this question? I like the fact that this designer is thinking in advance and wants to
Yeah.
make retirement a part of their financial business model, which I think is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where does one start? Because I think so many designers, I mean, some of us come from previous careers where maybe we did have a 401k or a retirement plan in place, and some of us don't. And we're just
Yeah.
prolonging it by focusing our efforts on launching the business, and every dollar seems to go back into the business. And
Right.
then 20 years later, we realize, oh man, I should have been stashing money away.
Right. No, it's a great question. And I honestly, I would probably start with like, does the designer work on their own as a solo, or do they have employees that they would also be contributing some kind of retirement savings into their accounts? So
True.
that's the number one question, I think, as far as like mechanically how to structure a retirement plan.
Yeah.
Um, because if you're on your own, uh, the nuance of starting a retirement plan is different than potentially um, opening up a 401k for employees or a SEP IRA. So that's
That's a
the
good
first
point.
question.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Let's assume that this is a sole member LLC.
Okay. So for a solo interior designer, essentially, there's a couple options. Like from a very fundamental level, you want to make sure that you're not disrupting the operations of the business first and foremost, right? So
Sure.
if you've got the margin and the profitability to contribute excess profits to a retirement account,
Hmm.
that's the first, I think, order of business that you need to make sure you have in place. You don't want to be disrupting your cost structure and the reinvestment plans that you have for the business to save in retirement. Having said that, I do view retirement savings and planning as a critical component. It's always a tricky balance to reinvest back in the business or save for retirement. But what happens is you kind of, like you said, you kind of get into this tricky situation where you kick the can down the road with retirement savings. And the more you wait, the less you can compound your retirement savings over time. The beauty of saving for the long term is the power of compounding.
Yeah.
Any dollar you put back in your business or back into your retirement account, it grows exponentially over time if you've got a diversified portfolio. So the first order of business is make sure you have the capacity to save for retirement within your business, and then from there, you want to think about what plan's right for you. In the beginning, if you're a solo and you're just putting maybe a couple $1,000 away just to start, just to get your feet wet, an IRA or Roth IRA is a great way to do that. They're easy to set up. The retirement contribution limits are lower. For 2026, they're $7,500. But that's an easy way to do it. You can set up a IRA at really any custodian nowadays. And if you are, the next question really is like, after you decide what type, should you go Roth and traditional, or Roth or traditional? And
what's the difference?
So the difference between Roth and traditional, essentially, Roth is the retirement savings type where you have your income, you pay taxes on your income, and then you contribute to the Roth account. So you're like, oh, well, I thought the benefit of retirement savings is that you reduce your income and you pay less taxes. That's true, but with a Roth, you pay after tax. You contribute after tax savings to the Roth. The beauty of the Roth is that it compounds for as many years as you have those funds in that account tax-free. So if you save in low-income years, that's typically the best time to save in a Roth account is when your income is low for a given year, or if you're early on and your income is low, your tax rate isn't as high. So you'll pay the taxes in those years and then get the benefit of the compounding tax-free in the Roth account.
Oh, I see.
On the other side of the coin, if you've got high income, you may want to look at the traditional account. Traditional is synonymous with pre-tax. So you make the contribution to the pre-tax traditional account. You get the benefit of the tax reduction on your income in that year. That money grows tax-free, or I'm sorry, it grows tax-deferred in the traditional pre-tax account. And then whenever you take it out later on for retirement, then it's taxed at your ordinary income tax rate. So
tax on the way out. Got it.
Correct. So Roth pre-tax is also a decision. I would say, just going back to the point about retirement plan types, the IRA and Roth IRA is easy to set up, low contribution rates. As you get to a higher income level, you may want to look at a solo 401k. These are often the best option for a solo designer, or if your spouse is the only other employee in the business, solo 401k is a great option. Oftentimes, and this is something that a lot of accountants will recommend, they'll just go straight to a SEP IRA. SEP IRAs are great savings vehicles, but they were typically more impactful when 401ks were more expensive. So a lot of accountants will just say, oh, just open up a SEP IRA, and you essentially are allowed to contribute up to 25% of your W-2 compensation in a SEP IRA. They're great vehicles. They're easy to set up. but the solo 401k gives you higher contribution limits. You can save between your employee deferral and your company employer deferral savings. You can save up to 72,000 in a solo 401k. So though, and they're much more cost efficient now than they ever were before.
Mm.
You can set up a solo 401k for a couple $100, and
Mm.
there are some reporting requirements once you get to 250,000 in account value for your solo 401k. You have to file a 5500 with the solo 401k. So there is a little bit more complexity with the solo, but the benefits of the solo 401k likely outweigh the SEP IRA and the IRA, just a plain vanilla IRA,
Mhm.
as your income grows over time.
Going back to the Roth and the traditional, you had mentioned a $7,500 number. What does that
Yeah.
number represent again?
So that's the contribution limit that you can contribute to an IRA every year.
Okay, that's the max.
Yep. If you're over age 50, you can contribute an extra. I believe it's $1,000, might be 1,100. But for the most part, the 7,500 is what you would is the max you can contribute. And then the one nice thing about the IRAs, and this is true of the SEP IRA, is you can contribute up to your tax deadline. So
Mhm.
for like 2025 savings year, you could theoretically contribute up until April 15th of the following of 2026.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the SEP IRA, you could actually do that until October 15th, your tax filing extension deadline.
Yeah.
So that is maybe the one instance where the SEP IRA could be more attractive than the solo. Is the solo needs to be in place before December 31st. So
Mhm.
if you're sitting in March 15th, you wanted to contribute for the previous year, you're a solo designer, the SEP IRA for that year could be a benefit because you can open it and contribute to it in 26 for 25. So you're
Right.
putting even more savings into the SEP IRA versus the solo 401k has to be open by December 31st.
Well, the way I see it is with a max contribution of $7,500 a year, that sounds like a good vehicle for designers who are maybe just starting out and they're like, listen, I just want to do the right
Right.
thing. I don't know really how much money this business is going to make, but I know I can do that. And so it's a responsible thing to do. Let's start small. Let's start stashing a little bit of money away as this business develops and I get an idea of what this is really look like going forward. Um, it doesn't sound like enough if you're in a situation as a design professional where you've been in business for maybe 8 or 10 years and you're like, all right, I'm making money and I've never put any away. I'm in catch up mode. Like I need to
Right.
just cram money into some sort of vehicle that is going to benefit me down the line. If that's the case, it sounds like it's worth investigating a 401k option because it sounds like you can definitely put a lot more money towards your retirement into a vehicle like that. Yes, it sounds like maybe there's a little more red tape, but it's worth it.
Exactly. And that's where this is like, it's a really nuanced um, process to go through, like what plan's right for you, what kind of contribution should you make,
Mm-hmm.
how much should you make. I think of it as like a small little buffet, right?
Right.
You've got all these different plans with their different characteristics, their pros and their cons. The solo 401k for somebody that is growing and doing really well with their profitability. Maybe they're looking to diversify away from their business
Mm-hmm.
because we all know as business owners, a lot of our wealth is tied up into our business.
Yeah.
But for those that, the solo 401k, they're like, man, the 72,000 a year sounds great, but I want to do more. I'm 55 years old and I haven't been saving. I want to do more. If they're a solo, or maybe they have a couple of young employees, a cash balance plan, defined benefit plan could be an option to save
Mm.
literally hundreds of thousands a year. The mechanics of the cash balance plan are complex, and you'd need to hire a third party administrator for that. But it's for the right people.
Yeah.
Going back to the buffet analogy, for the right people, cash balance plan could be a nice add-on top of like a solo 401k or just a normal 401k if they've got employees.
Definitely. So this particular question, the way it was structured, sounds like this person was thinking in advance. They want to be ahead of the game. They're developing
Mm-hmm.
their business model now. And so I feel like we've covered that aspect. But designers that are listening, I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, all these other options don't apply to me. Like, when in the world am I ever going to have $100,000 to stash away in 1 year? I've got news for you. You can and you will if you do the right things. There are plenty of design businesses out there that are making a ton of money. There's a lot of design business owners who are in that exact position, who have the profitability associated with their business to actually invest at that level. They're doing it right. It's not unheard of. So if you're rolling your eyes right now, if you keep doing all the right things, you could be in a situation where you have a lot of money that you can direct towards your retirement, towards 401ks plans for yourself and your team. So I think maybe the best approach for a design business owner, no matter where you're at in business, if you're thinking about doing this, kind of explore all of the options and
Right.
understand what's best for you. Because without exploring them all, it's kind of hard to make an educated decision that's right for you. Because, to your point, there's a buffet to choose from, and every design business is so different, and
Right.
and every design business owner's goals are different.
Right. And I think, yeah, I'm glad you kind of like expectations out there, because I think for those that are like, man, I'm like 10, 15 years away from ever needing to put away 70 grand a year in a retirement account, like that's totally okay. Like, I'm in business building mode and I'm not setting 70 grand away from retirement just yet.
Right.
But what I think what's most important for those types of design owners is just get the accounts open. Like, you don't even
Yes.
need to contribute to them. If your cash flow and net income at the end of the year is tight, um, that's okay. At least you got the account open. You can put a couple $100 in there, so you can at least feel the satisfaction that you're doing something for your retirement future.
Yeah.
Um, and it gets you thinking about retirement. Like, how do you actually want to spend your time? That's another thing that, we dove right into the strategy and the options that are available. But a lot of this too is like discovering what's meaningful to you now and, later on in life. So,
True. What does retirement mean to you?
right,
It's
right.
different for everyone.
Totally. Um, so I think for the kind of earlier stage designers, just get the account open, put a couple $100 in there. Um, Likely the Roth is the best option for somebody that has kind of a low income year. But these things change, I mean, designers I mean, cyclical businesses potentially, inconsistent income and revenue. So, um, as they get more profitable, as they grow their revenue and the business overall, um, you would like to see the retirement savings become just a small piece of the cost structure over time. Something that
Yeah.
what once was like an optional or like a nice to have
Hmm.
line item, you'd like to see that become more of a permanent fixture on the profit and loss statement. And when you have, maybe we'll talk about the designer with employees, but then it becomes um, retention strategy, making sure,
Yes.
I've heard on plenty of your podcasts about how expensive and time consuming it is to hire. Well, talk about retirement plans and HSAs, they're great tools to keep, employees happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about a team structure and setting up that 401k, for a business, because you're right. And going back to the importance of kind of looking at all of the options, that could be one. As you're developing your business model, you say, listen, I'm not always going to work alone. In fact, one of my priorities is to grow a team very quickly. That's just how I envision my business. So as a result,
Right.
the 401k option could be the best option, the right option, so that you're not trying to transition from one to the other.
Hmm.
What are some of the benefits to that?
Yeah, I mean, um, with a firm that you've got multiple employees, you're developing them, assuming they're kind of younger associate designers or employees
Yeah.
on the team. The 401k gives first of all the options for the non-solo designers. So if you've got, I don't know, anywhere from a couple full-time employees to maybe dozens.
Right.
One thing that's important, I'm biased here in California, but if you have full-time employees, it's mandated by the state of California that you need to offer them a retirement plan. So
Yes,
that's
that is
a
correct.
state law. Even if you have a firm outside of California and hire somebody that lives here, you need to offer something for them. So
Hmm.
the easiest solution for that is the Cal Savers program. It's essentially serves as like a Roth IRA, like we talked about before, but you have to opt them into the Cal Savers program. So that's like at a minimum what you need to have.
Yeah.
Um, the options for designers that have employees are essentially either a regular non-solo 401k or a SEP IRA.
Hmm.
Um, there's different rules. We can get into the nuance of the SEP versus a 401k with employees, but at the end of the day, employees that are seeing contributions to their account from their employer are going to be happy employees, and maybe it's out of the scope of this conversation, but you talk about developing a whole benefits program that employees are happy with. Lord knows that healthcare isn't cheap, and so having
Yeah.
access to an HSA, having access to healthcare is something that most people are going to want. So
Right.
so those are essentially like fundamental pieces to an overall kind of like benefits program, the retirement planning and the healthcare.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you, Dan, because I know that
Yep.
a lot of listeners are probably wondering this question, and I am as well. Going back to being having a 401k through an employer, if that is something that you're rolling over from a previous employer. So, for instance, a lot of design professionals, it's a second career for us. We have a
Right.
lot of great designers who come from marketing, sales backgrounds, corporate background, who had a 401k set up for them through their, through that corporation. And now it's just kind of sitting idle. Um,
Right.
what are the options for rolling that over, if I'm using the right term, so that you can continue to contribute to it as a new business owner?
Good question. I used to help employees with this all the time in a past
Mm,
life. So the the first thing you want to make sure that you're doing, and it's easy to lose track of in an old 401k, is just make sure it's invested in some way, shape, or form.
mhm.
There's plenty of cases where people thought they were invested in a diversified portfolio in an old 401k, and 3, 4, 5 years later, they checked and it was in a high yield cash like investment fund. So,
Basically just sitting there.
yes. So you want to avoid that. But the other factors to consider in an old one and a current employer 401k is ideally they're all together, right?
Mhm.
We want to go for simplicity here over multiple accounts that don't really need to be in different places.
Right.
But if you want to dig into kind of the next level of details, you can look at the fees that are charged on each type of plan, the investments that you have available. Most plans, especially large employer plans, will have a full offering, and actually they're required by the regulatory body ERISA to have a minimum number of diversified funds available to them.
Mhm.
But some are better than others. You've got target date funds, which are diversified, like single funds. They're diversified inside. Target date funds are essentially invested based on the year you would expect to retire. So there's 2040, 45,
Right.
50, 55 target date funds. Some of those have expense ratios of 0.8%, 80 basis points. Some are 5. And so, back to the point earlier about compounding, you talk about a difference of 0.7% every year. That can be a meaningful difference in the growth of your portfolio over time.
Oh, for sure.
So fees, access to different investments are some things I would consider, but ultimately the best option is just to move it over to your current 401k employer, just so you know where everything is. You have a better idea of what account value your overall retirement assets are looking like. So that's,
So they're transferable.
They are.
They're transferable.
Right. They are. I will caution the viewers here. It's a lot like dealing with record keepers. It's never fun, and it always takes a long time. So just have patience, or if you do work with a financial planner and advisor, lean on them for support, because you fill out one paper, you think you did everything right, you submit it, and it's wrong, and it just turns into an annoying situation.
Well, because naturally they don't want you to leave. They don't want you to move.
Exactly.
They want you to stay. So,
but I'm glad there's a game being played, not necessarily being played, but it's like an oops. It's like, the money stays here.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the importance of actually keeping an eye on those monies until you decide what you're going to do, and making sure that it's invested, because that's really important. So for anyone out there listening, if you have a 401k sitting from a previous employer, you're not ready to make these decisions yet as to what you want to do with it. If you want to roll it over into your plan that you're creating for your company, or maintain it as it is, make sure that it's invested in something and that it's not just sitting there doing nothing for you. So at the very least, it could be making money for you while you're making that decision.
Right.
Very cool. Dan, this was a lot of financial talk, but it's very important financial talk. And I appreciate that you kept it pretty high level, so that, I think we kind of covered a lot of examples of where design business owners may stand in their business journey. And I think that not only did your advice help answer the original question, but I think that it's going to also inspire other design business owners, wherever they're at in their business, to maybe think about this a little bit more. It's not as intimidating as it may seem. I think you just have to be in the right headspace to have the conversation and just kind of receive that information.
Right. And, I think one thing that always comes up, and it seems to come up often in a lot of your podcast episodes, is developing processes, right? Mm-hmm. And systems. And when it comes to investing, it can be easy to let your emotions take over. But it's really important to set, once you're financially in a place where you can contribute at least a small amount to a retirement account, and then grow that over time, to make sure you have the systems in place to save consistently. And maybe every year you're evaluating what your income looks like, so you do make the decision between Roth or traditional, because that should be an annual decision. But the intention of saving every year, maybe varying amounts, but consistently saving over time, that's what's going to get you to a place where, honestly, a lot of creatives, they maybe don't want to retire, but they want their work to be more optional, right? So they can do it more for fun, rather than trying to meet certain revenue and profitability targets every year.
Yep. Well said. Well said. Dan, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your valuable insight with us. And we're looking forward to hearing so much more from you at our retreat in October. For those of you who haven't signed up, we have a few seats left, so go to the website and check it out. And Dan, tell us how we can find you on LinkedIn, because Dan does some great posts on LinkedIn. He has a great newsletter that goes out. Where can we find you, Dan?
Yeah, it's just my LinkedIn profile, Daniel Costigan. I think I must have been the first Daniel Costigan, because I don't have the exact URL. But if you just search Dan Costigan, Two Palms Financial on LinkedIn, I'm there. I've got a YouTube channel as well. Two Palms Fi is the handle for YouTube. But But yeah, and if anybody has any questions, I offer a complimentary Zoom call. Happy to just answer questions or talk through any issues people have. They can email me at dan@twopollinsfinancial.com to make an appointment there. So
Nice and easy.
that's it.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you. And thank everyone for checking out this episode of Asking for a Friend. If you have a question that you want us to cover on this YouTube series, drop a note in my Instagram, in the direct messages, or send email to rick@designbizsurvivalguide.com. See you all again soon. Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.